Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the FEI podcast. My name is Todd Kelly, writer creator of Sheldor the Defender, the Project Titans, and Atlas Rising. Sheldor the Defender is currently live on Kickstarter. Feel free to go check that out. It's been an absolute blast. With us today, all good. With us today is my co-host of Champions, Mr. Nick Sermon. I'm going to let him introduce himself, and then we will talk about our amazing guest for the day.
Welcome back, everybody. Nick here, part of the Project Titan sales team, and I tried to put it down in my title, but it gave me. I was only limited to 50 characters, but Lord Emperor of Everything Todd does not want to do.
We have to get you a shorter title.
It didn't let me do it.
You need to just promote yourself, like Corporate Banana or something.
I know, right? So.
I love it. Well, welcome back, buddy. I missed you on Monday. A lot of shenanigans. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Corey. So we have with us the always amazing Mr. Corey Nelson. I'm going to let you kind of introduce yourself and talk about what you do because I don't feel like I'm going to be able to do it justice. So take it away.
Sure, absolutely. My name's Corey Nelson. I'm with FilmDen.media. We have our own little website. We do video production in Central Florida. We do commercials for small businesses, headshots, a lot of acting content. I'm also a gaffer on the side for a lot of like small student films. Do you know what a gaffer is?
I have no idea. Can you tell by my face? And
I saw the confusion.
Yeah.
So it's a really fancy word for a guy who sets lights on a film set.
Okay.
It comes from the term, like there used to have this stick called a gaff, and that we poke the lights. That's where it comes from. But yeah, so I do lighting. But yeah, so I do a lot of production based in Central Florida. That's what I do.
Bro, we've been talking to Corey for 10 minutes, and I've already learned so many things. So this is going to be great.
Scheduling
on
TikTok.
Yeah.
This is
exactly. This is going to be a 90-minute session where I actually get to grow and get better. So fantastic. That's actually why you brought here. You're going to spend 90 minutes teaching me. So very cool. That's freaking awesome. So we got to meet at Vibrating Comics. Shout out to Austin, who's a little cold right now in Alaska. So buddy, safe travels. We love you. And you know, make sure to take all the good comics from them. We expect you to bring those Star Wars comics back and sell them to everyone at the exact cost that you got them for.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. So we got to meet at Vibranium, and I believe, I don't know if you were with FilmDen at the time.
No,
I believe it started kind of after that. So can you talk about kind of that journey?
Sure. So when you met me, I was I had a different name. It was Dracnus Films. Guess why I changed it? I changed it because no one knew how to spell it.
Yeah, there you go.
So I was like, well, this is ridiculous. So I changed my name. But yeah, I was just starting. I think literally the day I was there was the first day I had my camera.
Really?
Like I had just unboxed my camera the night before, and then I rolled up with it. Yeah. But I started doing video production roughly like 2020. I worked for a long time managing installations for Home Depot. So anything got installed in like the Lake County, Marion County, and Sumter County area, I was in charge of making sure the sale went well, dealing with any issues, yada, yada. Anyways, 2020 hit. We had like this major, like as a country, we had this major just reset, and it kind of resonated with me. Like, this is not what I want to do. So our friend Austin owns a comic book shop. I went there one day and bought some severely underpriced Pokemon cards for like $15 and started flipping them. Well, right at that time, Pokemon was like going through a crazy surge. So I bought like $15 of Pokemon cards, flipped it to $50, took the $50, went to $250 to $750, $750 to $1250, and then bought camera gear with it. And then that was like 4 or 5 weeks before I met you guys at Vibranium. Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, it's super fun. And I apologize if I'm a little weird. I'm hearing myself talk, and that's putting me off. So, yeah, it's different. But anyways, So yeah, that's how I got my start. I got start from flipping Pokemon cards and a little bit of comic books. I started doing some comic books towards the tail end of it there.
I love that. So all I'm taking from that is like Pokemon led you to achieving your dream.
Yeah, there you go.
So like that's. I mean, Nick has invested heavily in Pokemon cards.
No, is it?
So,
Yeah.
If he were to follow your strategy, Nick, you could buy a neighborhood right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
I have no idea how to play. I don't even know how to play the game.
So when I started, and I actually bought, I think the first set that I bought was from Austin at Vibranium when we were there.
Oh yeah.
He had that box in the back, and it was like $10. $10 you fill up that.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, and we were sitting there, and I grabbed the big box and sat down and just started pulling out cards. I think I walked out with like 150 cards or something like that to start with.
Yeah.
And
for your daughter.
They were at that time. Now it's kind of merged into both of us. But,
yeah, that's where I got a lot of the ones for flipping was from that $10 like fill it up box. Yeah.
I think we're pushing 1,500 now. I think.
Oh my lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as long as you're enjoying them, playing with them.
There's 1,500 that are open. There's a booster pack that we got from Sam's Club that's not open yet, and there's about 6 other packs that aren't been opened yet. But
oh wow.
Who knows, man? You're retired.
I would not just like start ripping those open like right away.
But we'll see. We had an issue that my daughter started, and it's still ongoing. My daughter opened a couple packs because I've got an app on my phone that tracks all of them that we've got.
Yeah.
And so she started opening packs and putting them in books. And I'm like, I don't know which ones you put in there now and which ones we've had. So I deleted my database and I'm going back and
Is it TCG Player? Is that what you're using?
Yeah. But now I'm having to go back and rescan everything and like,
ouch.
Yeah.
You're more dedicated than me, bro. I would have just given up with the database. Like I'd be done.
Because some of them we got to, and I'm like, when did we get this card? What is this? I don't remember this one. So.
Well, it's awesome too, because you get like the alerts every once in a while. It's like, oh, this is way up in value now.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's the exact TCG Player one. It is a TCG app.
Got it.
But it's a free app, so it's not really hard to pay for it. And I don't know how great the market prices on there are, but I mean, it is what it is. I can probably estimate from here and there what they put on there and eBay and everything like that. So
yeah,
but.
Yeah, you got me. I know the original 150, and after that, I got nothing. I think they're up to like 5,000 at this point. Like I genuinely have no idea. But
I think they're just under 1,000 from what I heard.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's only been 20 years. Ash is still 10. It's all good, man.
No, my wife is super into Scarlet and Violet, so they're like 9 something like that.
Oh yeah, but when we were collecting it, we found Target has like the Player Academy, Pokemon Academy game. It's got the board that tells you how to play and that. So we sat and learned how to play, and I think that was like a year ago, and haven't touched it since. So but at least I know how to play if I have to.
Oh, there you go. I think I played like 1 or 2 pickup like card games with it, and then like I couldn't set up a board now or build a deck. I have no idea how to do that. I don't know how that works.
I don't either. A lot of the ones we have are the pre-made decks. I'm like, that works for me. I'll play with that. We'll go with that. And everything else is just collections at this point.
Yeah, so we stopped like right with Ruby and Sapphire. So we bought those decks. They had a Kyogre and Groudon or whatever the other guy's name is deck, and that's like the only ones I've ever played with.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real. I need them to simplify it a little bit for me. I need it to be like kind of Game Boy style, where you just pick like 6 cards and like those are your 6 Pokemon. Like and you just like throw like that's 6. Yeah, like that's it, man. Like I need like simplification. Like I need I need to right now. Like I feel like Pokemon is probably one of the more complicated like card games. I need to go back to just like war style. Like when you're flipping a card, like whoever's got the highest wins. Like I can play that. That's cool. So
you could probably build that.
There we go. Let's we'll make it happen. So all right. So let's so Pokemon. You're flipping Pokemon cards. This takes you towards building. Getting your equipment and so how build kind of your model with FilmDen? Because I mean, obviously, like taking this and going out and taking that leap of faith, like that's huge. So kind of how did that start with you?
So I'm sorry, you broke up a little towards the beginning of the question. Can you repeat it one more time for me?
Yeah, my internet hates me. It's all good. So I was just asking.
I heard the end.
Again, perfect. Well, I think I was rambling in the beginning, so it's all good. So, how did you kind of build your business model in terms of launching FilmDen?
Oh, just figuring it out as I went. So the very first thing I did, I got that camera. I shot the event at Austin because I knew him. And then I reached out to a whole bunch of businesses. So I started with Harley Davidson and asked, hey, you have this event coming up. I'd love to shoot for you. I won't charge you anything. I just want to put your name on my website. That's what I want.
Right.
Reached out to the lady, talked to her, got set up. I went out and shot a event coverage video for Harley Davidson in Ocala. It was called 50 Leg. It was Wounded Warrior thing where they were donating artificial legs to people who lost their legs overseas.
That's awesome.
That's
it was super awesome event, really cool. Got to become friends with the lady who set it up and did all that, which is funny because bringing that full circle now, I might be working with her again. She works with a much larger company now here in Florida, so that one job might lead into more. But anyways, just doing a lot of free work, trying to figure my stuff out, because the end of the end goal of this whole thing is that I don't want to be doing video production for businesses forever. I want to direct a Star Wars movie. That's where I'm going.
Hey.
That's where we're heading. Yeah. So I bought my camera gear thinking, well, I can probably find someone who would pay me to make them a video. And in the meantime, I'll figure out how to make videos as we go. Everything I've done so far in FilmDen has been very much like, oh, yeah, I could do that. Yeah. How do you do that?
Yeah,
and then just start looking up, Googling it, YouTube it. How do you take a headshot? I was driving to my first acting headshot appointment where I was shooting someone's headshot, looking up, like I had it playing on YouTube in the background, like, okay, well, this is how you post someone. So I was like listening to that as I was going. And like, it's literally just figuring stuff out and just saying yes to everything. Like, yep, I'll do that. Sure. I know how to do that. Event. Yeah, I can do an event. I know how to do that. And then just figuring it out by watching videos and trial and error.
Do they know that you didn't know how to do this before you were coming to shoot them?
It depends on who you ask. So for acting headshots, yes. I started out doing free acting headshots for like a little group thing here in Ocala. So they knew for sure. Some of the businesses I've worked with have been like, yeah, I can do that. Live stream? I can live stream. I can do that. And then just show up, plug everything in, get it going. Like, it works.
So I'm gonna put in our request now. When you become a director of Star Wars, me and Todd, we want parts in the movie.
Yeah, I've heard that a bunch. And the most commonly requested role that people always ask for, it's like, I want to be a stormtrooper. Okay.
I mean, I don't want to be blamed for not being able to hit my target when I'm shooting.
Yeah, I guess that's
so.
True.
You know,
I guess that's true.
I'll be fine. I'll be fine in the back of Cantina somewhere.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so that's the goal. That's where we're heading.
If you give me enough time, I can be a Wookiee without a costume. Like, just
I'll give you some advance notice. Just start growing it out now.
Right. Like, let's say, like, yeah, I can be a Wookiee. All good.
Yeah.
So I love that though. So you want to do a Star Wars film? All right. So let's talk Star Wars real quick.
Sure.
So you guys did the Fandalorians for a little bit, right? So I remember watching that. That was cool. So Mando season 3 starts next week, right?
2 days.
Thursday.
Yeah, 2-3 days.
Wednesday, Thursday.
How excited are you, and what are you looking forward to?
Incredibly excited. Absolutely nothing. I have zero expectations. Like it doesn't matter what they put on screen. I'm gonna love it. So like I don't want to think about it too much. I don't want to speculate because whatever happens is gonna be great. I'm gonna love it. I kind of have that mentality going into a lot of shows. It's like sometimes you hype yourself up so much and then it doesn't pan out to do what you want it to do. I think the first season of The Mandalorian kind of taught me that because I was really expecting it to be this awesome like spectacle with finding Grogu's place and that, and it kind of it didn't. But there was nothing wrong with it. It was great. It told you like the whole universe story as you went along through the whole thing. So it was very neat. But I have nothing I'm expecting to see in the show. I know it's supposed to be about the Mandalorian kind of reclaiming his throne of Mandalore using the Darksaber. I don't know how they're going to get there, but I'm super excited to watch it.
I respect that, and I appreciate your approach. I have the exact opposite.
Yeah. That's all right.
No, it is what it is. Look, man, the first season was so good. And here's the thing, though. I feel like with the first season, they protected themselves from spoilers so well.
Mm-hmm.
And then with like season 2 and season 3, they were just like, we don't care anymore.
Well, do you know the thing that happened with Luke Skywalker at the end?
What,
Dude,
for 2?
so this was wild. So they got everything in season 2 spoiled on purpose.
To save Luke?
So that way you wouldn't know Luke was going to come at the end. They have a whole documentary about them doing it while they're doing it. So like as stuff was getting leaked, they were like purposely putting out things. Leading up to the end of season 2, they were releasing scripts and dailies, which is like the little snippets that you see from the day before, with Plo Koon at the end grabbing Grogu. So they had like Plo Koon's voice actor there. They had like these sketches built with Plo Koon's head on it. And they were releasing this stuff intentionally. And then like I think 4 people, they said in the documentary, knew that Luke was going to be there. Mark Hamill was one of them. And then they shot and released it, and nobody knew that was going to happen.
That's next level.
It's a different take on it. Now, whether or not they made up this whole story after the fact to say like, well, this is why, either way, it's super cool if that's what they intended.
So, and here's the deal. And I'm cool with that if that's true. The one I wanted them to sandbag, though, was Ahsoka. Like, they shouldn't have been. That was the one where, like, it was so cool when you found out, like, she was going to be on the show. And I'm like, oh, this is amazing. Like, this is going to be great. Yeah. But at the same time, I was just like, how much cooler would that have been if you had no idea that it was coming?
You know, the biggest letdown in Star Wars history for me is, like, the spoiling something too early. It's episode 1, The Phantom Menace. In the trailer, they show Darth Maul with a double-bladed lightsaber. Like, it enables one side, then man. Imagine how cool that would have been, like, in the trailer, like, bam, bam, out of both sides. Because that'd be the first time we've seen it.
Right. But and that's the thing about it. And I think Mandalorian has done really well about delivering on a lot of things. And, again, that moment with Luke, I mean, like, look, I lost my crap. Like,
that was so cool.
It was so cool. And, I mean, look, everyone – there's a lot of hate for The Last Jedi. And I will say for me, one of my big disappointments was I just wanted to see a badass Luke Skywalker. Yeah. I feel like I've been waiting for a very long time to see an actual, just like fully badass Luke Skywalker. And The Mandalorian gave me that. Yeah. And I just like, to me, that was the hallway Rogue One Darth Vader scene. Like, it was so good. So I just, again, Mando like saved Star Wars for me. And I cannot wait. I'm excited for season 3 of Mandalorian. I'm really excited for the Ahsoka series. I loved all the animated stuff. I love Rebels. I love Clone Wars. I haven't really gotten into Bad Batch yet, but I will at some point.
Bad Batch is pretty good. It's a lot slower. It's more world building than it is like a narrative driven story. So it's kind of just telling you more about like the Empire taking over before anything else.
Well, and so I look forward to checking it out. The challenge right now is they decided to really start ramping up their Star Wars content around the same time that I had a child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, had they put all this out before, I had a kid, like I'd have like been through it all. But now I get to watch TV in like 20-minute increments between Cocomelon and Bluey and just whatever other, demon shows are out there. And then I get to watch my Star Wars. So
yeah.
So you've got your movie that you want to do. Can you talk to us a little? Do you have like your own story, or is it just going to be like a Star Wars? Okay, so
I'm just figuring it out. So this year we're directing a movie. Well, it's a web series here in Ocala that I get to be the director of. So this will be my first at bat with that.
All right.
So the harder thing about directing, in my opinion, is you don't know you have it till you do it. Okay. So I've never done it. I might go into this, figure out I suck at this. I ain't gonna be good at that. And then that's fine. If that happens, the goal changes. It goes from directing a Star Wars movie to being the gaffer on a Star Wars movie. So I don't have any of that stuff planned out yet because I don't know about being any good. I'll find that out later this year. But anyways, no, I don't necessarily have anything planned out or panned out for that. I would love to do Old Republic stuff because I absolutely love the Old Republic. Me and my wife still play a lot of the Star Wars: The Old Republic online game together. But that era has always been kind of my favorite.
Okay. I like that. I love that video game. It was an absolute blast. And I remember at some point they made it where you could download it on your phone, and I bought it. And I was just like, I never went back through. I didn't go through and play it again, but I made sure to buy it and download it. Like, I'm just like, hey, look, if you're going to make this so I can do it, I don't have time to do it, but I'm going to support you. And I hope you continue. And if they ever put the Force Unleashed on a phone, I'm going to be all about that life because the Force Unleashed was just absolutely amazing. Yeah,
no, absolutely. Force Unleashed was super fun. The original Battlefronts were crazy fun. Good. 1 and 2. Lots of awesome stuff with that. But yeah, absolutely. So that's some Old Republic. I would love to do Old Republic.
Very cool. All right. I love that. You got something, Nick? I feel like I'm firing.
I do. Okay. I wanted, so being in a director type mind, when you go, more general, when you go see a movie, like, I would just say Marvel just because Ant-Man I saw recently. That's the most recent thing in my head. Do you go in looking at certain things differently than, like, say, I would go in just as a fan? Like, are you able to pick out different things and notice different things and things like that?
So I'll definitely say I've had a shift. Like 3-4 years ago, I had no problem. I can go in there, click the brain off, watch it. It's great. It's awesome. Now, like, my wife hates watching movies because like I pause it, like, you see that right there? Right there, the door's open. It was closed in the last shot. It's open now. Or it's like, you see how he's looking over here? There's like a teleprompter. He's like looking at the teleprompter or something. Yeah. And it's like you pick up on the little stuff. And it's just from being like immersed in that world on like YouTube of just other filmmakers and that, and learning how they're doing the behind the scenes. Or even Disney came out with Disney Gallery, which is an awesome show that talks about the behind the scenes of like The Mandalorian and all those others. And even that gives you like so much more insight. And so now when you're doing it, it's like, that's not Pedro Pascal in there. They're not showing his face. So that's the other guy. He's the guy who knows how to do, like, and you can pick up which actor is like the one in there based on what's happening in the scene. Because there's 3 people that play the Mandalorian. Pedro Pascal is only in the costume when the helmet's off.
So he does very little work then.
Well, he does all the voice stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but
he sits in a studio, sound booth and the microphone. That's it.
So then do you?
Good for him.
Yeah.
So then
that dude's blown up.
Right.
Yeah, really. Especially Last of Us now too.
I know, it's ridiculous. It's like everything. Pedro Pascal's in this. Pedro Pascal is going to be bringing some kid to a safe location in the next movie near you.
So do you still enjoy the movies?
Absolutely. I love it. Absolutely love it. Especially Star Wars. Like, Star Wars is one of those few things that I still have the ability just to like shut it off and just like watch it and love it. Like, I have a ritual. Every Wednesday, a Star Wars something comes out. I have a popcorn machine in my house. We pop popcorn. We sit out our little movie theater area we sit back and watch it. Like, as soon as it's out, I'm watching it. I'm on it. So that's like the only cinema or movie I can just shut my brain off and just like, this is cool.
Can you do the same thing for like TV shows and stuff, or is it just
for like TV shows and like Star Wars ones for sure.
Okay.
A lot of the TV show stuff, like picking up like weird stuff. Like we just watched Twister not that long ago, and I picked up that there's a scene when the cow goes flying by in the Twister, and they're on that 1-lane road, and they show that you're driving on this 1-lane road. But in the shot showing the character's reaction, you see taillights driving the opposite direction because they didn't wait for the car to clear before they started shooting. Yeah, so just
I'm going to look for that now. I'm going to go find that. Look.
Yeah, it's like halfway through the movie. It's like it shows on her face, and they're like, I can't remember what she says. She says something about we got cows or something crazy like that. And you see the car, the taillights driving away. Yeah, so you start picking up all these little things.
Yeah.
And
I get it.
I started really getting into that. I went on to I've been on 3 student films in the last like year and a half, and a lot of it we like either reviewed the footage or we got to see what was happening afterwards. And it was a lot of us sitting around trying to pick out details like, well, that's wrong here, or that's wrong here, or her cup is half full and this is a quarter. You start figuring all that stuff out.
That's the old Starbucks cup in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Do you know, here, I'm going to give you another one. Every time you see an actor, either in a commercial or in a show, when they take a bite or take a drink, it immediately will cut off of them before they finish because they spit it out afterwards. So they're not constantly eating during all these takes. So
I think
there's free movie. Yeah, free. You'll notice it all the time now.
I will too.
Yeah.
I think it was John Cena in Peacemaker, like had to like eat like a burrito or something like that, and he decided to like really eat the burrito, and it took like 39 takes or something like that.
It's insane, and that's what it is. And some of the times, like one of the most dreaded words you hear on set is the director say, "One more for safety," which means we're going to take another take just to make sure in case this last take is botched. So like, do your best again. If you're eating another burrito, you're eating another burrito or whatever's happening.
Huh.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, but I get it though. I'm kind of that way when it comes to like, again, even watching shows and films now. Like again, anything we do, like I'm always just like, we'll be like 2 minutes into a movie, and I'm just like, yeah, that's the killer. Yeah. Like if I was doing it, like that would be the killer. Like like it's just one of those things where it's just like like me and Sam would be watching something, and she'll really be enjoying it, and I'm just like, man, if I wrote this, I would do like blah 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 blah, and then like like 45 minutes later, she's like, have you seen that? Like, how'd you know that it was so and so? And I'm just like, I mean, I did.
And that's the thing. In anything that's story driven or narrative driven, you start picking up all these nuances of like, oh, well, they're planting a seed to foreshadow for this.
Well, and it's just like nothing's random. Like you don't actually you don't waste time. You've only got so much like dialogue. You've only got so many scenes that you can actually write. So you're trying to make something look random, but like it's not. Like it's gonna be. So it's like, okay, cool. How could they use this? Yeah. And I'm very similar to you in terms of like it's hard to turn it off. Star Wars is one of the things that I can't turn it off for. Yeah. As well. Marvel is harder to turn it off because it's just fun. I like picking that stuff apart. Like it's just enjoyable. So
So another cool thing, I don't know if you saw the Disney Gallery or not. Speaking of the Mandalorian earlier, going to call back here. Do you know that not a scene from season 2 was shot outside? Everything was shot inside. Oh,
they were in that like crazy dome thing they have, right? Like,
it's ridiculous. That thing is amazing. That was Jon Favreau invented that. It's like just LCD screens that wrap around this whole place, and they can just design and drag stuff. It's ridiculous. It's amazing.
Yeah. I think I saw some of it for when we were watching the stuff leading up to like Obi-Wan, and they were talking about a bunch of it, and that thing looks so cool. And again, like Obi-Wan, I absolutely loved that. So like, there's just again, some people drag it, but like I enjoyed the crap out of it.
Like, I love it. I mean, they haven't released anything Star Wars that I'm like, it sucks. I like it. I even like the sequels a little bit less than everything else, but I like them. They're good.
I just, you know what? I wish they had planned them out.
There's definitely a lack of planning. There's definitely a lack of planning.
I wish they had planned them out, but other than that, I'm good. Like, hey, I enjoyed them. I will tell you, I've enjoyed the TV series more. Like, the TV series that they've released, like, again, completely saved Star Wars for me. Like, I'm fully back invested. I have not watched Andor yet, but again, I blame that on the child. I will check that out at some point.
It's a slow burn. Like, you watch 4 episodes before something like really happens. And but it's just leading up to the thing, and it's so cool, so like awesome to see that world building, all that stuff happening in there. Really great show, love it. It's probably one of my favorite Star Wars like TV shows that they've released now.
Nice. Yeah, unfortunately, again, I don't really have the slow burn time yet, but I'll get back to it whenever give me a year or two. She actually wants to go play by herself, and we'll go from there. But right now, no time. So all good. I'll check it out. That's the beauty of the content, though. I can go watch it later. It's fine. It'll be all right.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, to avoid running the risk of making this a Star Wars podcast, we should pivot a little bit. So
That's fair.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
That's fair. Again, we don't usually have a lot of people.
Because I can talk about Star Wars all day. All day.
Same.
I can tell you that.
Same.
Yeah.
All right.
So absolutely. So going back to like getting started and doing all that stuff is I got into I built this whole plan of how do you get from now till Star Wars, like how do you get from here to directing a movie, and now to Star Wars. That's a great. I'm gonna write that as.
I like it. Circle back.
Yeah. Now to Star Wars. Anyways, so I started doing acting headshots in order to get as a step to get to directing a Star Wars movie, because I needed to find a bunch of actors and actresses and people that are into film that would work with me for next to nothing, because I don't really have a lot of capital to be spending on that stuff.
Sure.
So I did tons of free acting headshots to get these people to owe me something or owe me a favor. And if they don't do it, great. If they do, great. But now I've got a whole bunch of people that we've got cast for this web series later on, just based on like, oh, well, he hooked me up with a headshot. So yeah, I'll do whatever. Okay. Just, pay me pizza or whatever, and we'll do it.
Nice. I love it. Yeah. Well, I mean, again, it's a great way to get it out there. It's a great way for the content. And then when people are seeing that you're doing it, there's going to be somebody that, is willing to pay to do it. And I mean, it's going to happen.
That ship's come and sailed. And
exactly.
I unfortunately have become a headshot photographer when I want to be a video producer. Like I do way more headshots than I do commercials or talking head videos or like way more of that than I do anything else now.
But I mean, again, you gotta do what kind of makes the revenue, right?
Yeah,
so I mean,
absolutely.
You got to go where the need is, and that seems like to be where the need right now. So you do that, you transition, and kind of like you said earlier, when you did the video for the person with Harley Davidson, and then now there was somebody else. So you do the acting headshots, and then eventually that gets there too. So now, are you working with like other directors? Are you like trying to interact? Like what's that kind of look like from a networking standpoint?
Sure. So the area that I'm based out of is Ocala. It's fairly small for acting right here. Everybody is pretty much south, either in Orlando, Tampa, or Miami. Miami's a big one. So we're trying to cultivate a acting community here. So we're in the process of setting up doing acting clinics where you can come in, get a monologue, read it in front of a camera, or act out a scene with another actor or actress, and then we'll cut it together for real for you. So we're trying to build this community here in Ocala. So naturally, there's like 2-3 other filmmakers here that want to get into making movies, and they're part of kind of growing that with us.
So now, is there anybody that you follow kind of from like, that does it kind of independently? Is there anybody that you follow that kind of inspires? Because again, like what you're talking about, like I don't know if you follow like Bat in the Sun, but like they do some really cool like videos where they do like, they would do like the Power Rangers versus Street Fighter and stuff like that. Yeah. Like they do like Batman versus Darth Vader and those things. Is there anybody that you follow and kind of helps inspire you?
So one of my favorites is a guy named D for Darius. He's a super small time YouTuber, but he just talks about making films, like making stuff when he was in film school, making some features now that he's out. He does a whole lot of like YouTube shorts, short videos, short movies and that. He's great. Love his content. He was really a big help for me to get started. There's also Film Riot is another big one. They do a podcast that they've kind of taken a break from, but they go around and just interview other directors or people in the film industry and talk about doing movies and what that process looks like. And those have been great. Like just listening to those and hearing how the inside perspective of like how that works it's been amazing. It's been super eye-opening.
Is there anything that really surprised you as you were just like, holy crap, I didn't expect that?
So when I got started, I didn't realize how long the work days and work weeks were. So when I was initially like dreaming of doing this, this stuff, when I was younger, I was like, oh yeah, it's like, 8-hour days or whatever. Film is 12-hour days, 5 days a week. And it's not overtime. Everybody is freelance in film. Nobody pays anybody kind of to like work for them. You're like an LLC that we subcontract out to, so you're kind of responsible for meeting your own labor requirements and all that stuff. But yeah, it's a lot of hours. Out of the sets that I've been on, it's been like usually more towards like 14, 15 hours of like just shooting. And it depends on your role. Sometimes you're constantly active, like being an actor or being in the camera guy or camera assistant or whatever, or directing. My thing, gaffing, I kind of go in, I set it up. I'm like, all right, well, let me know when the next scene is. And then I run second AD, which is the guy with the clapboard, or just kind of sit back and don't do a whole lot because really gaffer setups the light, and then that's kind of it. So you have to kind of make your own entertainment sometimes with it.
Was it, and I could be completely wrong on this, so correct me if I'm wrong. Was it a lighting guy that Christian Bale like tore a new one on the Terminator Salvation? Is that
I think so.
The lighting guy that got
so yeah, so kind of the hard thing on not just Christian Bale but actors everywhere is if you're playing a really dramatic role or you're playing something where you have to put a whole lot of emotion into it, you sometimes sit down and build this character in your head for, you know, hours and hours while the lighting guy sets the lights and the camera guy figures out the angles and the sound figures out, well, where's the boom mic going to go? Or am I under booming? Am I over booming? Do we laving him? Do we not? So there's hours that go by that you're just trying to build the scene in your head. So then you get the actor in the frame and they are starting to like really pour everything out. And the light guy goes, no, wait, the light needs to go 2 degrees that way. You see how it's not yet. And then, you know, you have to reset and do all that. And unfortunately, he didn't do a great job of taking it in stride, unfortunately. But, you know, that happens. It can be tough, man. Sometimes being an actor on a set, that can be super rough. You can sit there for 8 hours sometimes before it's your turn to go up.
Oof.
Yeah, the whole time you're trying to make sure you have your lines memorized and all that. I
just can't confirm. Would never be me.
Yeah,
would not do well.
It's a lot of downtime. It is. Yeah. It's a lot of downtime, and you have to memorize all that stuff and keep it fresh in your brain so you know how to, you know, rattle it off.
So now, have you seen anybody, you know, even again with what you've been working on, is there anybody you've seen that's just like really impressed you, where you're just like, holy crap, like they're really good?
Yeah. So more of just being. So I'll tackle that question in 2 ways. The first one is being on set. There's this guy who is phenomenal. His name is Josh Reimer, and I'm gonna have to tag him in this now. My first film I went on, he was the gaffer, and that dude was like. It was phenomenal. Like he was like painting the picture in his head of how the light should work or how it should look. And he has probably the coolest party tricks I've ever seen, which is he can stand all the way across the room, look at a light and say, that's at 4,700 Kelvin. And that needs to be 4,800. And like, he can bump it up. And I'm like, yeah, he's right. I don't know how you know that. It's like, it's such a subtle, it's like slightly more yellow than that light that's over there. Like he was super amazing. Like I learned so much stuff just being there. It was like going to college. It really was like him just teaching me that stuff or just saying it and me just osmosisly just picking it up. That's second is like sometimes being the headshot photographer, I've taken pictures of people who are like, yeah, I want to get into acting. And then, you know, you take their pictures and next thing you know, it's like, oh, well, I'm on the 6th movie now. And it's like 2 months later, there's a lady, I just took her pictures in December and she's like on like her 4th project. I'm like, that's wild. How are you doing that? And like, It's crazy. Cause and the other spectrum, you run into people, you know, you take their pictures and they try, they put themselves out there and they just don't get anything. You know, they don't pick it up. You have to really know how to market yourself. And some people have that talent and some don't, you know? And
well, it's interesting you bring that up because I mean, it's kind of in everything you do, right? You've got to be able to market yourself, like no matter what it is. Yeah. Like marketing yourself is a completely separate scale and you've got to figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I kind of like to say everything is a sales job. Like you might be doing something else, but you're still selling whatever that, you know, whatever that product or whatever that service is. You've got to be able to sell it. You can be the best in the world at it, but if you can't sell yourself at it.
Yeah. And you've been in sales. Everybody's been in sales their entire life. You've had something that you wanted, whether it was you trying to convince your mom to borrow the car to go somewhere, or you trying to convince your wife to buy more poker cards, you know?
Hi, Sam.
Yeah, you're always convincing somebody of something, which is sales. That's essentially what sales is. What tricks people up a lot of times is there is a clear, distinct line between sales and marketing. And a lot of times people muddy the two and they don't understand why it's not working out for them. So
what would you say one of the big challenges you see is in people not being on a market? Like, what's kind of one of those mistakes that you feel like people are making?
the hardest thing is people just keep it a secret. They just don't tell anybody that they're doing it. They're like, they make this decision up, focus group of one. They tell themselves that they're doing it, but then they don't tell anyone else. They don't post about it on Facebook. They don't start messaging people and say like, hey, I'm a video editor. I edit videos. Can I edit your videos? And they just keep it a secret. They might put it on a website or make a Facebook page about it. And great, I guess you're telling somebody somewhere. But unless you're actively going after it and messaging people and posting about it and talking about it, you're not going to get anywhere with it. And that's the biggest drawback I see is people just not, they're just keeping it a secret. They just don't tell anybody anything.
Do you think that's out of fear?
I think it's two things. I think it's one, just people not realizing that you can't just make up your mind and then that's it. It'll come to you. You have to put the work in there. And I think a lot of it is a lot of people skew more introverted and it's trickier to go out and talk to people and it's harder to, get on camera and talk about it. It's skill set. There's skill and there's talent. Some people are super talented at it. They can talk about something forever. They can promote themselves really well. Some people aren't, and they got to build it. It's a skill. They have to keep working at it. It's like how do you get muscles, right? You go to the gym and you do it every day, over and over and over and over again. It's repetition. You have to keep doing it. And a lot of introverted people, they don't keep doing it. They try it once or 3 times. They get 3 no's, and they're out. They're not going anymore. So it's a lot of just, talking yourself into it and going for it.
I respect that. And I mean, I would agree. I think, again, like even just within comics, like you'll see people that, they get into it, they start building their thing, but they don't promote it. They don't do this, they don't do that. Or maybe they're really good at doing it one way and they only do it that way. And they kind of stay in that lane the whole time. And that was kind of us for a little bit too. Like we were really good at Comic-Cons and doing signings and stuff like that. So that was what we did. And it wasn't really, again, until we kind of started doing this and we started doing a Kickstarter. And it was just like, okay, let's see what other options are out there for us. Just because we're really good at this one thing, we're not maximizing all of our opportunities. We're not growing the way we need to. And it's because we're failing to, embrace change. And, apparently the guy in charge of it doesn't even know how to schedule videos on TikTok. And,
the simple stuff.
That's where you also acknowledge that, maybe there's areas of opportunities, and that's when you go get an expert. So, so you do our editing. And so I want to kind of get in there real quick.
Sure.
So, we reached out and, you've gone through and edited, I think 4 or 5 of our videos.
Yeah,
so
I think we're 5 or 6.
Yeah, so I think we got 3 or 4 more that are coming your way. So, yay. What are kind of some of the things? And again, this is a good opportunity for anybody who's looking to start a podcast or do this or do that or even do editing. What are some of the things you've noticed? And what are some of the tweaks or changes you would even make to kind of how we do things? That way, it's better for you from an editing perspective.
Sure. So the way you're doing it now, where we have 3 separate screens, for what you want as a deliverable. That's the best way of doing it. So it's easy to cut this format into a phone screen for 1080 by 1920. It's easier to cut it into that. So I think you don't know what you don't know. So until you start like asking people who like work in and do this every day, that's kind of going to be your kind of your drawback. But what you guys are doing now is great. The format that we have it right now versus how it's been is way better already. Yeah.
You don't have to be nice to us.
I'm being very nice.
Well,
it's way better.
I mean,
Well, so it's interesting too, because again, like what we talked about, so we're down a co-host right now, and
Yeah.
so like if you know Marvin had been here, we'd line it up as four
Yep.
instead, and then kind of go from there. And then the first round we did, we started filming it, and this is for anybody. I mean, we started filming last year, and we did a few of them, and the intent was to have we had somebody who was going to initially edit it, and then that kind of fell through, and then I tried doing it on my own. And one of the things that people don't know is this can be very time consuming, especially when you don't have a lot of time. So it can be very time consuming, and it was one of those things where we started kind of falling behind. And we had all this content that again, like we weren't working with any professionals on, and we weren't getting any feedback, so we kept doing it wrong. So we have more and more feedback. Like again, we've got quite a bit of content where we did all these interviews and wasn't set up properly, weren't using it. And again, we're going to go back and we're going to use it and we're going to post it the way it's posted and we're going to have fun with it. But one of the things we started doing was it's like, all right, screw it, let's go do it live. Let's just start doing it live every Sunday night. And we'll go live, we'll have fun with it. And then again, we reached out to a professional. And who did we reach out to? We reached out to Corey, because guess what? We've met Corey, we've interacted with Corey, and we've seen everything that you've posted. We've seen your, the headshots that you posted and this and that. And again, while we met a couple of years ago, it was the stuff that you were constantly posting on social that kind of kept us like you towards the front of the brain, where it was just like, all right, well, we need a guy. Like let's go get Corey. Let's he's a professional. Let's get him and see what we can do. So
I'm not keeping it a secret. That's it.
No. That's it though. That's my point. Like you're constantly talking about it. So when it came time to try and find somebody, like it was just absolutely perfect. It worked out well. So so I very much appreciate what you've been able to do so far, and again all the tips, tricks, and advice that you've thrown our way.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, just to kind of hammer that point home, if you're not constantly top of mind or constantly reaching out to people or posting about or saying stuff, it doesn't matter what you're trying to do. It could be video editing, it could be video production, it could be comic books. It doesn't matter. If you're not actively keeping yourself the top of that, person's mind when they think of that particular subject, I mean, you could have easily have met somebody else or seen somebody else on Instagram and hired them to do it.
Well, and to that, we probably have met other people, but it's just one of those things where, like, through our interactions, it was just like, oh no, we're gonna go with Corey. Like, this is this is our guy. So it's all
which I appreciate. Which is great.
Well, of course,
I love.
We appreciate it as well. So, but again, you're even spot on, because we ran the Kickstarter, right? So we started the Kickstarter at the beginning of the month. Started again post. At a certain point, kind of let off the post because I'm just like, I feel like I'm annoying people. Like at this point, like we've already hit our goal. Like I didn't really have a bunch of stretch goals set up. Like I didn't expect to hit target as early as I did, but I stopped posting about it. And here's the deal: if I don't post, I don't get any backers.
Yeah, nothing happens.
But every time I post, I get one or two, and it's not a ton, but I get one or two every time I post. And towards the middle, I just wasn't posting about it because we had some birthdays and just life and whatever. So,
do you know how they built the Empire State Building? One beam at a time.
Yeah, there you go. So
one post at a time. You built it.
So that's it, and it's one of those things where you just got to stay on it. And even I'll say this too: if you slack, if you miss some days, if life happens, it's okay. You don't beat yourself up. You just get back to it and go from there. So but no, I agree, and I think that's great advice.
Yeah, and you definitely have to mitigate that stuff too. And especially in production and what I do, and I'm sure also in comic book creation, you have to create safety nets for yourself. So for me, that's scheduling posts. So I have stuff scheduled way out in advance, so it'll auto post on stuff. But even that, every once in a while, you might pick up an editing project, or you might pick up a comic book that you have to draw a panel on or whatever. And that could just totally throw you off course. And you just have to have some sort of a safety net to get you back up or carry you through that lapse.
Yeah, for me, that's taking a PTO day. Yeah.
It is what it is. It's what it is. I understand.
HOA came through last week, yelled at us about something. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to take a day off. I'm going to write a script, and I'm going to take care of what the HOA wants to take care of.
It is what it is, man. You got to
do it. But you're right. You got to have those in there. So very cool. All right, Nick, I've been asking a lot. So
you're good. Hey, you're the main host. That's what it's for. But, well, Corey, what's some, if you can go, what's some crazy set stories?
Crazy set stories. So I'm gonna have more from the commercial side than I will from the narrative side.
Mhm.
Probably the wildest thing I've ever had was I did a photo shoot for a lady, and she wanted to do a branding photo shoot where she was in roller skates.
Uh-oh.
And I'm like, all right, yeah, cool, no problem. We'll go here, we'll do that. Like, didn't ask enough questions, right? So we get there. She puts on skates and she's kind of struggling. And I'm like, oh, you all right? She goes, yeah, I got it. This is the first time I've worn skates in 20 some years. Okay.
Oh, no.
So yeah, and it was a lot. It was super fun. It turned out great.
Yeah.
The pictures were awesome. She was amazing, but it was a lot of like, I'm gonna roll towards you. I don't really know how to stop. So take the picture and kind of stop. You know, that was probably the wildest like something going on a set or something like that. I've definitely had a lot of like crazy narrative like short film stuff that's happened. I don't really want to talk about a whole bunch of that stuff just because it's super specific and it'll be very easy to like, that's the one he's talking about. And I'm like, yeah, so I'm not going to do that for fear of shaming myself out of any future jobs. I will not do that. But yeah, so that's some crazy stuff. So let's pivot again real quick. So let's talk about comic books. Let's be more contextual, I guess, towards your audience. Doing your cons in that, as far as like setting up and doing cons, for somebody who's getting started out in that, because it's something that I've like always kind of thought that would be really cool. How is like, what's the business side of setting it up? Choosing which con you go to, or figuring out where you're bringing your table to, or setting up.
Okay, so for everybody, I think it's going to be a little different because you got to kind of take the personal side of it too. So for me specifically, and I'm just talking about me.
Sure.
First, obviously, is it a con that I feel like I'm going to be able to go and be profitable at? Am I going to be able to make money? What's my purpose of going to the show? So there's two reasons I'll go to a show. One, I'll go to a show that I've never been to, and it's just at a location that I want to go to, and I'm just willing to roll the dice and take a shot. Or I'll go to a show because I know it's a show that I can just blow out the water. Like, so that's really it. Like those
like
are
Tampa
my two
Bay
options.
or something like that.
Yeah, so Tampa will kill, Orlando you can kill, Jacksonville you can kill. But you'd be surprised. Like, again, you can go do these little small one-day shows and just blow it out the water. So I mean, it's kind of just, where do you know you're going to go do work at? But there's also some shows that they're ghost towns. They're not even geared towards actual like independent comic books. They're geared towards like autograph shows. So there are some shows where they're just specifically like they're autograph shows. The vendors are just there to pay for the autographees to kind of get in there. So so try to avoid those best you can. Try to find the shows that are geared kind of towards your audience. Now for me, I've got to pick shows that are not only those, but happen to just be weekends that I know I can get away. Like they're weekends that I know, or hey, look, it's not somebody's birthday. Yeah. So it's literally just got to happen. So for me, I've got to be a little more picky. For others, hey, look, I mean, just go do what you do. Like have fun with it. The other side again, what's the cost going to be? Do I know people in that area where I can go crash with somebody on that weekend? And cut down on my hotel costs. It's again, what's that setup going to look like? But there's a bunch of factors that go into it. But again, a lot of times it's just going to be, what's the audience going to look like, and is it my audience? Can I sell to that audience? And if so, then I'm probably going to swing for it.
Yeah, that's been something that I've been playing with for a while. Is we're looking at starting up a second business in the business that's like photo shoots for cons. So like setting up like a legitimate photo booth in a con to take pictures of like cosplays and bring like a bunch of props and stuff. And that's always been the hard part. It's like, well, how do you pick? Like what do you know is going to be good? What do you know is not going to be good? So
why don't you let's say we got Tampa in July.
Yeah.
And then we have, I think, Tallahassee in July. And we can just get you in
Tallahassee beginning of July and then Tampa at the end.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome.
If you want to come up, we can get you like a vendor badge and let you just like, you can kind of be our third. Okay. And then if you want to kind of like piggyback off that, talk to people, take shots, like before you have to invest any money in it. Yeah. Just kind of come up, piggyback off the tables we've already got. I'll tell you one that if you want to start playing around with, Ocala, their Comic-Con's in September.
Yeah, that
I
was
know
amazing.
Austin usually tables with that one. But I mean, I think too, like again, you could probably, with what you want to do, I would encourage you to kind of try to reach out to the people that run the con.
Yeah.
And you could probably very much get it to a point where like you kind of partner with them a little bit
Yeah.
because you have a unique service, provide that unique service, they provide a space, and then usually you can just kind of work out some type of deal where like, you know, whatever they get a certain cut of kind of what you do.
Yeah. Yeah, and the financials is never really the problem. It's always
Right.
like I have to now close off this weekend and not take any more shoots or any more video projects or whatever, or shoot any more movies or something. So that's the time piece is always the more like difficult thing. And I think
yeah, you're spot on. I mean, the timepiece is always so crucial. And again, like when we go do a show, honestly, right now I'm really loving 2-day shows.
Yeah.
Like the 3-day shows, like the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Honestly, like usually 2 of the days are good anyway. Like it's the one day always sucks. It's usually Friday or Sunday.
Yeah.
So I'm really enjoying the 2-day shows because I don't have to take any time off. Like I can just, drive down there on Friday night or Saturday morning, something like that. Like I can, so like it's not actually really pulling me away from the family. So like I'm really enjoying 2-day shows. Now again, granted, that may change in a year or two, but right now that's what I enjoy. And I'll always encourage people to just do what works for you and don't get caught up in like trying to keep up with the Joneses or do this because it's it's like, oh, I just want to go do this show. Like, no, don't do that. Like, just do what works for you.
Yeah. We had a show over the last couple months, not that we were a part of or Austin was a part of anything, but there was a show recently that happened in our area that like totally imploded. Like just 5 people showed up, no one selling anything. It was all like just like spreading awareness, like to like hand out brochures and stuff. And I'm not going to name what it was. I can tell you afterwards, but it was really interesting. And that made me think, it was like, well, what is it that you pick? How do you know that this is like the one or this is not going to be good?
So pay attention to the guests. What's the guest list look like? So the guest list, all right. So for me, right, Project Titans is the artwork's kind of a manga style, black and white. It still reads left to right, but it's got a manga vibe to it. So for me, if I look at a guest list and they've got a bunch of like voice actors from like anime, I'm gonna do well at that show. Like it's just pretty much guaranteed. Yeah, like they're there. If it's somebody, again, where they're focusing a lot on indie comics, okay, cool, I'm going to do well. That's fine. You put me next to anybody else, like I can outsell. Even if their book looks better, has a publisher, whatever, like you just put me next to somebody one-on-one, like, oh, let's sell them. That's cool. I'm good there. So for me, those are kind of the things I look at. But typically, like if the vendor list is like 5 times longer than the guest list, like then it's usually like, okay, cool. How's this going to play out?
Right.
Also, sometimes again, like what city is it in? Like, I mean, sometimes those small town shows are great. Sometimes it's just not. And what the other thing too is what competition does it have over the weekend? So like, we've gone and done shows before, and they were dead on Saturday, and it was because like there was a college football game going on Saturday, and they exploded on Sunday, but like we didn't check. So now we check. Yeah. Now we check what's going on in the town. Yeah. There was a show we did one time, and there was a freaking seafood festival happening, and it pretty much took everybody away like at 3:00. We're like, what? Why did I just
edited that video. That's right.
Yeah. So, it's just like what happened, man? So. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many things, but I just say look into as much of that as you can, and then just understand that everything you're just rolling the dice. You're playing cards. You're making an educated guess. Like you're just, but nothing kind of is going to determine it until you just actually get there.
We've learned something new at every con we've done. Been something tweaked here or there, something like that, or one where we're like, we're not going to do this one again. It's kind of just a trial and error almost.
Yeah, well, we've learned things, and then we've unlearned things, and then we've learned others, and well, I mean, it's just it is a lot of trial and error, but at the same time, like you don't repeat your mistakes. Like I mean, there's some shows where like we've done the show and like, yeah, maybe we made the show a win. Maybe it was a good show for us. But like, if I talk to 9 or 10 other people and it wasn't a good show for them, then do I want to go do the show next year? You know what I mean?
Right.
And we've done it before where we blew a show out the water. We absolutely killed it. Like at the time, it was one of our top 5 shows. And then we went and did it again next year and like barely did okay.
Gotcha. Yeah. Just sometimes you get to be like the best loser or whatever. I guess whatever that phrase is, where it's like you're the best at a bad situation.
Right. And then that was just like, okay, cool. So trying to hold ourselves kind of to a higher standard as we go in and pick these shows. So, I mean, I would encourage everybody to, again, just do what you want, know what your margins are. And again, what your goal is. Like, I mean, we've gone to shows before where we're just like, all right, cool. Like, we're going to go work this show because it's a new market. It's a new town. It's a new area. We're going to network our brains off. We're going to try and get as many followers as we can. And if we break even, then that's fantastic.
Yeah. And it's a great way to look at it. And you learn that stuff through experience, I'm sure, just picking it up as you go. And you don't know until you've done 100 shows what works and what doesn't work.
And again, sometimes something you did at show A worked amazing, and then you go to show D and it doesn't. We did a show in Savannah, and Savannah is always a fun one because we always go up there because we have a buddy that lives up there, and it's just a really good excuse to go hang out. Savannah's a great town. It's a little 2-day show. It's in the middle of football season, so we just go, we watch football, and we hang out. And if it's a good show, it's cool. If it's not, whatever. We spent 2 days at the Comic-Con. And it's usually towards the end of the year, so like we're usually in the profit, and it's just a fun weekend anyway. So we go and we work this show, and by all accounts, we have a horrible spot. Like there's no way to really like look at this and be like, this is a good spot. Like it was not great. Okay. And I'm a really positive person who can put like some spins on some stuff, man. And even I'm just like, this is not great. Okay. Until about 10 minutes before the show actually started. And then they relocated their main guest. What was her name? Who was it? You remember her name?
Was it last year?
Yeah. White Canary. Okay, so Katie Lotz, the White Canary, who plays White Canary in the Green Arrow series. Yeah. So they move her to now, like, we just turn and there she is. So now she's there on Saturday, and her line now is just perfectly where we can see. And so I'm just pitching to her line the entire time.
We're right on the corner, right?
They can just hear us pitching. I'm pitching to them. Every time I pitch, I'm just loud.
Like, you're like the carnival barker.
Man, just 100%. And so what's happening, man, they'd go get her autograph. They come buy our book. And that was it.
That's awesome.
But again, walking into it, man, I'm literally like, this is we had stopped at like this local donut shop. And I remember like looking at my donut and like, this is going to be the best thing all day. And that was – and then again, 10 minutes before the show, I'm proved completely wrong. And we had one of our best days that we've had. I was beyond exhausted by the end of the day, and it was great. And then I think the Sunday she didn't show up, and we tanked.
Oh yeah, back to the bad spot.
But here's the deal: we had done so much on, like, we barely even had any inventory on Sunday, so I'm just like, whatever, it's all good. But yeah, I mean, it's how it works, man. So I don't know, but that's exciting. I think that getting into that side of the business for you would be really cool. And as someone who, again, like, goes to these shows, like, I think that's a service that a lot of people would appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially you wouldn't need like a reserved spot either, because you can almost like here they have like almost like press badges. So you're like walking around, you can pretty much walk, or you have free reign of the entire area to pitch yourself and to, show things around rather than confined to one little spot. So
yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. So that's something we're looking to growing into this year. So I'm super excited about learning and experiencing more of that, like, con life a little bit. Because honestly, I've done several of con videos for different booths, either in Orlando or here in Ocala. And it's super fun. Like, I work for 8 hours and it feels like I've been working for like 3-4, because it's just like, oh, this is cool. And you're checking out that. The hardest thing is not like spending all the money that you brought with you
Right.
on this book is awesome, or that's
Mhm.
whatever, you know, or this piece of art.
Yeah, I very many times I'm like just doing the math of like what we've made and what I can get away with spending, and then I'm just like, no, stop, like just stop, like don't buy it, it's okay. The one thing I will splurge on is I will buy other indie comics. So if anybody else has like another indie comic, like I'll usually go give them a buy, talk to them, kind of find out what their inspiration was, stuff like that. I really enjoy reading indie comics, so that one ends up like being my little like thing I splurge on. But yeah, I feel you. Like there's definitely been some times where I'm just like, holy crap, like I need that. And then I realized that like I still haven't hung up whatever I needed from like 3 shows ago. You know what I mean? Like it's still like sitting in a pile like in the guest room or something.
Right.
Like that. So,
yeah. It's in a bag somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We don't need to talk about that.
Nick feels attacked.
Personal attacks, not a fan. The fact that I'm sitting right next to an entire stack of them doesn't
Oh
help.
my god. I still have so many from when I was flipping. Like I have a little storage area over here, and I probably have like 4,000 Yu-Gi-Oh cards because I bought those for like $5 or $10 a box because it was like, oh, I'll sell Yu-Gi-Oh cards. It's a pretty big market. I can get into it. Didn't get into it. The Magic stuff and the Pokemon, that was always the money. That and comic books, flipping some comics. The Yu-Gi-Oh never got into selling it.
Dude, all right. Yeah, I got nothing. I don't have the patience. What happened? I can't flip stuff. Like, because I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I bought it for X. Like, I have zero patience. You're willing to pay me 50 cents more than what I paid? Cool, take it. Like,
dude, that's the most fun for me. I still do that when I have like downtime. I go to Goodwill and I'll just walk around with the eBay app and like, oh, look at this mug. I wonder how much that mug sells for. It looks kind of cool. Look it up online, like, oh, they're selling it for $4. Well, on eBay, I can make 15. All right, I'm gonna sell it. I'm gonna buy this. I have so much stuff that I've like listed or just never gotten around to listing. I'm like, well, yeah, I can sell this. I have a Virginia Tech Santa Claus statue. Never been to Virginia. I'm waiting. It's gonna sell. It's gonna sell. And I've got it like listed for like $75. And I bought it for 12 or something like that at a yard sale. So it's like, I don't know, that excitement of like, I bought it for this, I sold it for this. And I do that all the time with like video production because I have like a little Excel spreadsheet when I'm quoting a project or whatever and be like, yes, this person's going to pay this. That's X% of this. And that's how much numbers is super fun. Numbers excite me. I love it. And that flipping is like really feeds into that.
Oh, I'm with you. So, and for me, it's like a sales perspective. Like I again, like with flipping, I get impatient. Like it's just an impatience thing. Like I have none. But when it comes to like you put me in a Comic-Con and you put another, similar publisher or, writer across from me, and it's game on. Like how many trades have you sold compared to how many trades that I've sold? To the point where, I walk up to the publishers and I'm just like, okay, cool. How many you sold? Like, where are we at? And again, I've got a good relationship. Like we give each other grief. Like it's fun. But they'll hit me up and let me know like where they're at. And I'm like, I'm either walking back to Nick and I'm just like, yes, we've got them beat by like 10 or 15, or I'm just like, holy crap, like they're 10 or 15 ahead of us. Like we got to get to work, man. Like why are we slacking? And but it's just competitive. It's fun. I enjoy it. Like again, I love, like my favorite thing, man, is when we walk into a show. And, we've got like 70 or 80 trades, maybe 100, like between the two, things that we bring in. And when we leave that show and we've maybe got like 8 or 9 left, I'm just like, that was a good show. Like that was absolutely fantastic.
That's it. Like, it's like a high,
Oh, dude, 100%.
Like,
100%.
God, this was the best. This is such a great day. It's like a great feeling. Absolutely, man. I get that every time I win like a headshot or whatever versus somebody when I know they're shopping around and it's like, got it, that's mine. That's one over this person because it's a small area. It's a small niche thing that happens in Ocala and Gainesville. I'm competing with 3 people, so it's like I know that you're facing this person and that person, and I know that now I've won that. So that's for me. I love it. It's like an internal scorecard. I love it.
So now, are you ever considering getting out of Ocala and going to one of the bigger areas, or you're staying in Ocala?
I'm gonna have to. It's definitely gonna have to happen. At some point in my life. Right now, cultivating like this community here has been great, and the cost of living here is super inexpensive. There's a lot of connections that I have here. So when I first started, I was working with like a bunch of businesses, just doing interviews, just like, hey, I want to come shoot an interview with you, talk about your business. We'll post it for awareness, make a video. So I was like doing that, like nice thing for them, but secretly it was like, well, now if I need a pizza shop for a film, I got a place. Or now if I need a bank, I got a place. And it's like I have so many of these connections now in this area that it's like, God, it's going to be hard to leave. It really is, because I know I can get into like a pizza place or whatever and shoot a movie there and pay nothing pretty much. And just be like, yeah, come on down. Yeah, absolutely. You did that thing for us. Sure. Come on. Same thing with acting, you know? And once I've relocated and moved anywhere else, it's back to zero and building and building and building again.
Now, do you have an idea where you want to go, or is it just like you're open?
Not yet, not really. So Atlanta and LA are obviously the big places for video production. From where I'm at, I'm like an hour and a half to Orlando. That's a fairly decent sized place for doing videos and stuff. We get a lot more commercials than we do get like bigger narrative film projects in Florida. So there's always like a lot of casting opportunities for that. So it's fun. Commercial videography is super cool, but it's just it's not the passion. I love doing it, but it's not like the end goal. It's not where I'm trying to get. So
yeah, I get that. I get that all day.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you ask one.
Oh no.
Oh
no! Silence.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh well, no!
It's just fascinating, just because I'm just a fan. So the production stuff part of it's not.
Yeah.
It's just fun to hear about. Just fun to hear about the different perspective from.
There's so much like and especially now, there's so much like great behind the scenes content where you can like really start getting feels for like, well, this is how it goes into like production, or this is how they make that. Some of the coolest stuff on TikTok that I watch all the time is people just like talking about film sets and how they make something. So every car commercial you see, there's not really a car driving, you know, it's a car with no engine that's crashing into something or driving down the road or whatever. There's pulling it behind. There's just so much cool stuff. They shot, I don't know if you ever heard of, I think it was Nikola. It was a trucking company, and they were building this like battery powered truck, but they didn't have a way to make it move yet, but they needed a commercial. So they took it up, and this is like some of the cool stuff that you get to do, this creative problem solving on sets. They take it up to the top of a hill and they just put it in neutral and it goes. So they take a drone and a car and they drive by it, and it looks like the truck is driving down the rail. Realistically, it's just gravity moving it as it goes down. But watching the commercial, you never know. And God, production's so cool because there's so many like really creative solutions to solve problems. And it's just a lot of times it's just getting 4 people together and think about something, and you come up with some wild way of solving it. You know?
So don't ever believe everything you see.
Oh, absolutely. Believe nothing. None of the food you see in commercials is edible. Like
so I have seen things like that where they go back and they talk about like the Big Macs and stuff on TV, and it's like it's the burger, but it's made with cardboard and like lacquer and.
Can we take a second to go back to the rolling down the hill thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like here's how the conversation went. They're like, yo, we can't drive. It's like, all right, I got this. Don't worry about it. And they were just like, what are you going to do? And he's like, don't worry about it. You don't want to know. And they're like, no, but for real, what are you going to do? And he's like walking over there and like putting the car, like starting to go in neutral. He's like, trust me, bro, you don't want to know.
Yeah.
And he just like throws it in neutral and lets it go. And they're like, They're like, Jim, what you do?
Well, I mean, I'm sure
It's
there's
going
someone
down the hill.
driving or steering or whatever, but yeah.
Or he just hopped in and like, you better get the shot, and then like just goes.
Yeah, so
one
you get one
chance.
opportunity, so it's got to
like,
look great. Absolutely.
It's like
but
halfway down the hill, the brakes don't work either. You know, it's just
well,
like,
hopefully that works. Yeah, hopefully they planned that. But it's like every cereal commercial, they use glue. Glue's milk.
Yep.
And they just pour the
I've
cereal in
seen
there,
that.
and it looks perfectly white on camera, and the stuff floats to the top.
They spray it with like water or something like that for like it, so like it shines.
Yeah, it's got the shiny
like
effect to it. It's just there's so much. Film is so amazing because you go there and you do what I do. You show up and you go, I've never done this before, but we'll figure it out, and you just keep banging your head on the wall until it's like, that's it. I solved it. This is how it works. It's so cool. And some of the technology that they've invented around stuff is amazing. Like there's this thing called a balloon light. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's a giant balloon about half the size of a football stadium that the gaffer operates. They lift it into the air and it shoots light down onto a street or an outdoor enclosure area, and it makes it look like it's day. So you shoot in the middle of the night when there's no one walking around, there's no cars, there's no noise of cars or motorcycles driving by, and it looks like it's day. It's crazy. Huh. It's wild. It's some of the stuff that they use. It's amazing.
So they can do that, and my neighborhood has 0 lights at night.
Like, well, yeah, we need the blue light for video.
Yeah,
they need it over there. Yeah, it's so cool, and just that and video has been amazing. I've seen so many great like short videos that people have filmed from other filmmakers when it's like they were the camera person and the actor. They were the only person. They had no one around that could help them with a project or be an actor in the project. And they just filmed it themselves. They figured out how to cut themselves out of the frame or do it the best way. So it looks like there's camera movement, but there's not really any camera movement because no one was there to move it. And it's just wild. All the creative things that you can think of and solutions. It's amazing. I love it.
So now, in terms of that, because again, we're talking about like all this content that really can be created, and now essentially, again, like you talked about, there's entire shows about just making all of that happen. So do you kind of, again, film any of your content in terms of like when you're doing that, do you have somebody shooting you doing the shooting? Like, I mean, are you putting any of that together, or is that something to the future?
So typically what my solution looks like right now is we set up a camera. I have 2 cams that I run usually. So I'll typically run A cam and B cam. If it's not a talking head video, I typically will run A cam capturing whatever and B cam capturing the environment, the behind the scenes. That's just on a tripod, hit the button, it does its own thing. The great thing with editing is you can punch in and out and move the frame, and it looks like someone was manning the camera.
Respect.
Yep. Never would know. Except for now.
I like it. Well, yeah. Now we all know.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah,
it's
a lot of that.
Out everything being fake.
Yeah,
nothing's real anymore.
It's all fake.
It never. The great thing about film is this. This needs to look real. Doesn't matter what the rest looks like. As long as this looks real, everything's great.
So you're actually here, right? This not fake.
Yeah, it's digital. I'm just digitally here. Yeah.
We were talking about The Mandalorian earlier, so yeah.
Talking about innovation. That's wild with their whole set and everything. It's so.
It's like Truman Show stuff, though. Like
I
just feel like I feel like you're gonna wake up in one of those one day.
Yeah, yeah. Try to find your way out. Absolutely. It's so cool. Like that's one of the best parts about film for me is that just like creative problem solving on the fly.
Well, I love that, and again, I love your passion about it. So it's very obvious, just kind of in the way you talk about it. Like again, and I agree. Like with it being kind of problem solving like that, I feel like that's almost like something that's kind of lacking in the world right now, just in terms of people in general having problem solving skills. Like sometimes. Like you'll interact with individuals and have this particular challenge, and like halfway into it you're just like, okay, cool, like you
just do this.
Like I joke around with my child all the time, or I tell my wife this about my child, that when my child is motivated, she has the problem solving skills of MacGyver. Okay, like I mean she's just on it. When she's not motivated, she has the problem solving skills of a potato, and that's where we're at. So you know, like that's just it. And again, like it seems like in film, again, it's kind of the same way. Like whenever you have those challenges, like you get to get creative, and you know, you put together these like amazing shots doing the craziest thing in the world that nobody will find out about until the story kind of makes its way
until the
around.
behind the scenes comes around or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do strategic like meetings with people before we do video or headshots, and we just talk about like some problems they have or how can we overcome it and all this. And so many times you get like, well, my problem is not enough people are engaging with my content. It's like, okay, well, what type of content do you post? And they post, you know, something that shows up with like their brand logo, and it sits there for like 5 seconds. It plays a little jingle or whatever, and then it goes to the thing. It's like, well, yeah, no one engages with just a straight up commercial. It's like it's such an easy problem to solve, and sometimes you just have to be out of your own head to solve it. I guess is what it is. But I get so many of those in meetings when it's just like, oh, well, when you edit the video, I want my logo to show up, and then I want it to sit there for like 5 seconds, maybe have a cool animation or something. Like if it's not cool in 2 seconds, no one's watching.
Done.
It doesn't matter.
Gone.
Yeah.
Well, and even then, like it's interesting now because like even if it's cool, like people the attention span it's just not there. Like if you don't get to the point, like we were joking around earlier in terms of like some of the shows even being slow burns. Like I don't have the time right now.
Yep.
Like it's cool. I know it's quality, but I just don't have the mental capacity to go in there and like take care of it. On TikTok, sometimes I will actually get annoyed. Like if it's a legitimately good video, but it lasts longer than like 90 seconds, like I'm kind of like just like, all right, guys, like I didn't get on this app to really like spend a whole lot of time in one place. Like,
so and it's super funny you say that. So I've been like, and part of my job with like doing commercial stuff for people and helping them like build awareness and engagement and all that is you have to like study what do people like. And there's so much now where even if it's a cool video, it's a cool shot, something awesome's happening. If you don't get to the point like now in the first second, you've lost them. So a bunch of videos now, which is a great change, is changing to putting the point to be the first thing that happens and then the build up after. So like, for instance, like if you're watching like a car chase or something that somebody's repurposed for content, they show the crash and then it's like, it goes back to the beginning. It starts. And that's such a cooler way of like getting those people engaged because they want to see, well, how did you get there? And you just have to get to the point right away now with these videos.
Well, it's interesting too, because again, that's even with comics and again, just kind of writing, like you almost have to start, you know, in that final battle and then flash back. Like, so, and that was one of the tweaks we made. And one of the first books that I did, I remember when we sent issue 1 to reprint, when I did it first time, I didn't have any of the pages from issue 5 because I was just printing issue 1. I just finished issue 1. But by the time I had to reprint issue 1, I had artwork from issue 5 ready. And I literally took 4 or 5 pages from issue 5, put it at the beginning, and then put a little flashback going towards. And then all of a sudden, our sales went up. It was just, but it was just from that change. Yeah.
That's what it is. It's getting that, you know, that to the point right away and letting them know this is what I'm reading. This is what I'm investing time in. Because, and I'm sure you've run into stuff too with it, where it's like you invest a couple of hours watching or reading something. It's like, that wasn't worth it. That really wasn't worth the payoff. That kind of sucked.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting now. Like I won't watch a show unless there's multiple seasons. Like I've got to know that. Like and again, like if the show's not finished yet, like I'm still taking a risk. Like I will get really pissed if like I invest in a show and there's some type of cancellation and I don't actually get like some type of ending. Like
I mean, look at those poor people who are reading the Game of Thrones books. They've been waiting since like the 80s, and we're still not there.
Can't do it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm not much of a reader. That's not my strong suit. So.
I feel you. Well, that's why I'm in comics. Like I read comics. Like I can't give me a novel that's not like Harry Potter or Percy Jackson. I'm just like, oh, what's this? Like, oh, yeah. Like again, that's
where's
my
the pictures?
Yeah.
Sorry. It's so funny when I look up stuff because I have to all the time. There's a lot of like editing tips that I just don't know yet, and like you run into a specific problem. Like, well, how do I do this? How do I make the text stop here and then animate into this thing. And I'll go onto YouTube or Google and start searching and figuring it out. And like I'll pull up like 4 text only websites. There's no video. I'm not reading. I'm not engaging.
No.
Like there's got to be a video. I won't be able to understand it.
Well, and to that, like, not only do I need a video, but I need a video with subtitles, okay? Because I might not be able to, in a situation where I can crank my volume up. So, like, here's the deal. I literally am going to read the video, but like, that's just where I'm at in life. That's what I need.
Yeah. So that's one of the big tips that we're giving people on like Facebook is don't bother posting a Facebook video if you don't have captions at the bottom, because it starts now with the audio off. Like it doesn't just start playing the audio from the video. Same thing with Instagram. It's the same thing. Yeah. But if you don't have that text to stop and engage somebody, scrolling on, moving on.
Yeah. Yeah, I know I will. So
same. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, unfortunately, we're getting towards the end of our time here, our hour and a half. So, again, very much have enjoyed the chat. Two of the last questions what I always like to ask everybody. So, what's some advice that you would give somebody that's looking to get started, whether it be directing, whether it's getting into editing, just kind of looking to follow a similar path? What's that advice that you would put out there to help them get started?
Don't wait to create, like just get started. And you can, I filmed my first commercial for our buddy Austin Shop on a cell phone. Like I had a cell phone that shot 4K video. Oh. I went and found a gimbal that was like $50, hooked it up to my phone. So it's kind of smooth, shot a whole commercial with it. Like the technology's there. Even if you can't capture a great video, if you can capture decent enough audio to catch somebody's attention, that's really all you need. But yeah, don't wait. Like just start tomorrow, just with what you have. You don't need to save up for anything. You don't need to flip Pokemon cards to buy a camera. You can just start with your cell phone. It's all you need.
Respect.
So that's definitely one of the things is just get started.
Yeah, just do it. Just Nike up and just do it. I respect that.
Absolutely.
So cool. So now if you're somebody who's looking to follow you and what you're creating or interested in getting your services, where can they find you?
Best place to find me is always at the website, which is www.filmden.media. It's .media. .com was taken, so it's not media. That's a great place to find me. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, it's great too. It hurts my wallet when it renews because it's more expensive than a .com. But it's one of the weird things. Anyways, either on there, I'm on every social media platform as FilmDen.media, so it's easy to find me.
All right, cool. Nick, you got anything else?
No, I don't. Corey, thank you.
You're super welcome. I look forward to rewatching this entire conversation again.
Take it easy on this episode and the editing.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I watch it. I'm like, I can hear myself talk for an hour. That'd be great.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us. We had a great one. We'll be back next week.
Todd, also, hey, if y'all are watching live, Todd and myself, we are going to be at Fallout Comics on Sunday. Right? It is Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday, March 5th. We're going to be there.
Jason Font, the Power Ranger Time Force, is going to be there at Fallout. We're going to
Red Ranger from Time Force.
So kind of excited. So
and great call. We should have Sheldor. That's going to be up to the printer. We're going to see what happens. We ordered it in plenty of time, so if it doesn't show up, we are going to blame it on them. Be ready. Gonna happen. If not, we're going to have a whole lot of Project Titans and just a really good attitude. But we should have Sheldor with us. We'll see what happens. So yeah, we're going to be up there. Red Time Force Ranger, Fallout Comics. Sunday, March 5th, starts at 12 o'clock. We will probably be there for a hot minute, and we'll probably go live. So we'll probably go live and have some fun and give Corey some stuff to edit from that. So it'll be all good times. But Corey, man, thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate you. And truth be told, we probably wouldn't even be doing this again if we weren't able to secure your services. Because if we had to edit this ourselves, we would go nuts.
Just out of curiosity, as a closing question, how long did it take you to edit those? Like edit videos like that?
Well, let's see. The first one's not even done yet, so a year.
So sometime.
I don't
I'm just curious.
It's
like an hour. It's an hour for me now. I can like plug it in, cut, good.
And you know what? Hey, we love you, buddy.
Listen, it's the building it up. It's like the old adage. It's like it's not flipping the switch; it's knowing which switch to flip.
100%, and that's all good. Not a skill set I'm going to be learning anytime soon. So very much, again, we appreciate you, buddy.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
you're welcome.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely, I love doing it.
Bye, everybody.
All right, bye.